This week's episode of Historic Moments, we're going to talk about government masks, deepfakes, and Corona Smart police cars. Welcome to Historic Moments with Lindsay. I'm not here to report the news. I'm here to start a conversation about the events that are affecting your life. This episode is for the week ending May 31st, 2020. So, our first picture, President candidate Joe Biden is wearing a mask for Memorial Day. This is reported by ABC News. All right, and I applaud Mr. Biden for honoring the heroes who have given their lives to keep our country free. And I think it's great that he's taking the appropriate precautions during the pandemic to wear a mask. All right. And I'm not picking on one side of the political divide over the other. This just happens to be the picture that caught my attention. What is it going to be like to have masked men run this country? I've talked about this before. A few weeks ago, I had spoke about police officers wearing a mask and how odd that would feel to have the people whose job it is to keep us, to protect us and look after us, to be wearing masks. And we often think of masks with criminals or people who want to hide their identity for some reason, and generally not for a good reason. All right, so now we're talking about the highest level of office in the country. What's it going to be like to have a president constantly wear a mask? I mean, what's your reaction to it? Mine is, I'm not sure about that. I can't read their emotions. It's harder to tell if they're telling me the truth whenever they're giving a report. I mean, you can't tell much from facial expressions if all you can see are their eyes. And so much of our communication is based on the expressions on our face. And I'm not real happy with that idea. It doesn't matter who's in office. So I'm not taking one side or the other. I'm not saying Democrat, Republican. I'm just saying any politician has a mask on and they do all of their interaction with the public with that mask on. I feel less likely to believe them. And maybe that's an unfair prejudice or bias because of the whole mask thing. Not because of who they are, but just because I see that mask and I'm automatically guarded for whatever might happen. I'm looking for trouble to come my way because someone with a mask is talking to me. So yeah, what's it going to be like to have masked men run this country? And will having our leaders look more like Darth Vader having an impact on the rest of the public? I mean, so that's my opinion on how I feel. But how do you feel? So Joe Biden in this particular picture, kind of reminds me more of Darth Vader. All right, do we like that idea? Are we okay with that? I mean, and I know black is stylish, and for Veterans Day, it was a very appropriate color. And I'm not trying to pick on Mr. Biden at all for that. I'm just saying, here's a person in a black mask, a little bit like Darth Vader. I mean, if he goes cookies, then yeah, okay, that's a little bit too far, and I'm going to have problems. But what about the rest of our leadership? What if they all wore black masks? Or if they all wore a mask with some sort of symbol on it? Would that look like a movement? I mean, even if it was the Democratic or the Republican mascots on their mask, would that make it creepy? I think it would. And do we want a government being run by a bunch of people that look a little bit creepy? I'm not sure that I want that. But of course, this is really not what I want. It's about what you want. What is your reaction to this picture? And does the mask change the way you listen to the words of our political leaders? I mean, or is it just the same? I mean, if it's Joe Biden or if it's Donald Trump, do you have the same reaction to what they say if they have the mask as you do if they don't have the mask? I think that probably there's no chance that that's really going to happen. I think that there must be some sort of influence on our perceptions of the messages these people give because they're wearing a mask. All right. And can we really trust the person behind the mask is who we think they are? Think of how much easier it would be to have the plot of a dystopian conspiracy movie actually take place. Because we can never fully be sure if the person behind the mask is the person we think it is or someone who just vaguely looks like them. I mean, at that point, really all we need to do is have their eyes vaguely look like the person they're supposed to be, and their hair and their build just slightly, and then we're just going to say, oh, yeah. And because that person comes out and they say, I'm Donald Trump, or I'm Joe Biden, or I'm whoever it is, and we don't have any reason to suspect otherwise. I know, and so that's crazy, right? Because that's kind of like we watch these movies and about the future, and we're not sure they've been replaced with a clone or they've been replaced by a doppelganger, whatever ridiculous reason that they had come up with in a movie. But now we're dealing with a situation in real life where that could happen. And it's not ridiculous because all we're talking about is a mask. All we're talking about is someone that resembles close enough to be wearing a mask and fool the public into thinking that that's who they are. Could it really happen? I mean, would it really happen? I doubt it would. But it's got to make you think. It makes me think. Hopefully it makes you think as well. Okay, so the next item, this is reported by from Forbes.com, and it is about deepfakes. And so what a deepfake is in the technology, in the video world right now, they can create an image. So the picture that you're seeing, that I'm talking about, these are not real people. They're fake. They're fake people. They don't exist. They've been electronically created. They look very, very real, and hence the name Deepfakes. They look so real that you could run an article with this picture, and you could create whatever story you wanted, because that's not a real person. So they're not going to sue you for false representation, right? Because there is no one there. So, and the technology is only going to get tougher to detect. Now, right now, you take these pictures, and people who know what they're doing, not me, but people who do know what they're doing, they can look at the resolution and whatever it is they do, and they can say, yeah, this is a deep fake. But that's not always going to be the case. Or may not be easy to detect them. It's going to get tougher and tougher. Technology is going to get tougher. And what that means is eventually we're not going to be able to tell the real person from a fake person. So a real news item or a fake news item, we won't be able to trust our eyes. So what is your thought on that right away? I tell you that in a few years, we won't be able to trust that anything we see on the internet is actually real. What's your reaction to that? Your first immediate reaction. And then what is your thoughts? What are you thinking about how that's going to affect your life? And are you going to do anything about it? I mean, this has a chance to really impact our lives in the future. And just imagine a future where nothing we see might possibly be real. That is so, for me, that's scary. I mean, because a lot of times I like to be able to see what's going on and then make my own judgments. But if all of a sudden what's out there has a high chance of being fake, not real at all, then I got to wonder. Then personally, I got to think that I rely less on what I see on the internet, because it could be totally fabricated. And I think I start relying more what I can personally see. Or maybe I just rely on the message that they give and look for content that makes sense rather than, play through the emotions of the person speaking. Or in this case, a deep fake who's pretending to have emotion. All right, so that could be definitely more science fiction. And so much of the news we hear today, 10 years ago, it would have been science fiction. Now today, that's the world we live in. And some of it, so much of it comes out of what I think would be a dystopian story. And now our life is a dystopian story. All right, third item. Police cars versus the COVID-19. And this I picked up from CNET. Right, so the new Ford police cars can kill the COVID-19 virus. And what the cars do is they crank up the heat to 133 degrees, and the virus can't survive at that. And so, it makes a lot of sense. So an officer picks up a suspect, and they bring him in, they arrest him, and they go up to do paperwork. And I guess they could just push a button, and the car is going to heat up, and it's going to kill all the virus. And so the car will be ready for either the next set of officers to take the car out, or the same officers, and to be able to pick up another suspect. Wow. So already we're seeing reaction to this pandemic, and we're seeing solutions by intelligent people, and we are adapting to it. And really, that's the key. I've mentioned this before. The key to getting through this pandemic, and in fact, so many of the news stories that are coming out, is that we need to be able to adapt. We, as a people, need to adapt to the situation. So I'm glad that Ford has adapted, and that now makes their cars more relevant, right? At least for the police. I can't imagine the police wanting to go somewhere else. If the Ford police cars, they can do this, and they've got this particular problem kind of nipped in the bud right there. All right, so how else can this application be used? Are you involved in a business or a project that could make use of a similar technology? Or maybe you need a job. Is there a way you can turn this idea into a thriving business? Obviously there is. There's going to be other applications for it, and there are going to be individuals who adapt, and maybe they've lost their job, and that's unfortunate. I feel for the many people who have lost jobs or businesses or whatever else. And what I really do is encourage you, get out there. There's going to be opportunities like this. Can you take this idea and turn it into a thriving business? Well, some people are going to. Ford obviously has, and this is just the first application for it. There's going to be a ton of applications for this kind of solution in the years to come, and they may never go away. In fact, maybe you become a solution provider. Things that happen in the turbulent years that may be ahead, find solutions, right? You'll keep working. You'll keep making money, and not only that, you'll be helping people to be able to deal with the problems that are currently happening, whether it's this or it's the crazy situation we have with rioting, whatever it might be. All right, so, and what uses might you have for this kind of technology in the home? Are there any uses? Definitely you should think about it. So, and then also ask yourself, what kind of innovations are going to come out of this event? Adversity pushes us to create, to adapt, and to invent. What will the world look like in 2 years because of this pandemic? Take a moment. I encourage you, take a moment, write down what the world will be like when the pandemic has run its course. Keep a journal with your ideas, your fears, and the lessons you're learning during this time of tribulation. And of course, we do offer journals. We offer a variety of journals. This happens to be the pandemic version. So if you want to be talking about how you have just been inspired, you saw that Ford police car, and you are going to come up with, you've got an idea, and you're going to get out there and you're going to start a business and use that same technology. Okay, jot that down in your journal. Jot down your experiences from this event. Jot down your experience from all these events that are happening. And there's so many that are happening every day. There's new events that are worth noting. And it's worth keeping a record of these, because down the road, that's going to be history. That's going to be your part of history. And it's important that you write it down. All right. So those are the 3 items I have for this report. Just keep in mind, this is an age of one momentous event after another. And take the time to record your part in this history-making age. All right, until next time, I hope I made you think.